We are back with episode 4 of Battleground T20. Today we will be talking about the match between Rajasthan Royals and Chennai Super Kings. Rajasthan Royals opened their campaign against an old rival, two teams who played in the final of the first ever IPL. Rajasthan Royals haven't really gone on to do anything remarkable after that first season, but CSK have gone on to dominate the competition. We'll talk about that, but before that, we will review the match which took place yesterday between RCB and SRH. King Kohli's army is off to a winning start, and there are a few problems for the otherwise balanced Sunrisers Hyderabad team. Joining me to take the conversation forward is my colleague Rasesh Mandani. Rasesh, welcome. Episode 4 now. We are warming up now pretty much. We are into IPL, and Rajasthan Royals start their campaign today. KKR will be the only team left to have not played their first match after today. But let's start off by talking about the match between RCB and SRH in Dubai. King Kohli's army off to a good start. Devidutt Padikkal. I mean, a lot of people were looking out for this player. 540 runs in Syed Mushtaq Ali, scored runs in almost every format in his debut season in first-class cricket. This man was confidence personified yesterday.
Yes, terrific, Arnab. You're right. Devidutt Padikkal, in fact, interestingly, is not everyone would have known about it because not everyone follows domestic cricket. So he missed out on that Under-19 World Cup because I think he was a little over 19 and a half. And
yes,
when you don't make it, so you don't make the cut, and the likes of a Priyam Garg and a Bishnu and all of them made it, despite the fact that they were a week over around about 19. So that's why. But he's played a couple of seasons for Karnataka and he's played really well. In all formats actually. And someone who's got a very stable base, and the key is basically to handle the pressure. I mean, when you're batting alongside, opening with the Australian captain, then you've got the Indian captain coming in next, then there's an AB de Villiers to follow. Sometimes the occasion can get to you, but Padikkal didn't show any of those nerves, and he sort of gave you a feeling that he belongs. So this would have been a very big tick mark besides for the RCB think tank, because they would have been keen to get a good opening partnership going. They had to go in with the Parthiv Patel all the time, the old war horse, but Parthiv had his limitations. The young, exciting, free-flowing batsman, now that gives them a little bit more to work with. Particularly the middle order will now feel a little easy with Padikkal and Finch getting those runs.
Right. Talks a lot also about the kind of approach that RCB have this season. Perhaps they have put in their faith in a youngster. And the way this batsman played yesterday shows what kind of a message which must have been given to him, that you go out there, express yourself, don't worry about the results, we will back you. And he showed it. I mean, perhaps too early to compare, but then there were signs of a young Yuvraj Singh when he played those flicks on the leg side.
Yes, and also when he sort of hit those lofted strokes, standing back, even when he was going across the offside as well. Yes, that can sometimes happen as a tall left-hander, sort of standing back and hitting those hits, clean hits, so over the circle. As we spoke a little bit about that when Shivam Dube got going as well. But obviously we understand that Yuvraj was in another league. But the good thing is the Padikkal didn't show any nerves, because if it's just a quick comparison with Priyam Garg, he's also a young player, he's the captain of the Indian Under-19 team. They did so well in the World Cup. But and Priyam Garg is someone who's got a double 100 in Ranji Trophy. Despite the fact yesterday he didn't quite look the part. So the thing is probably the occasion got to him. And this is something that Padikkal was able to overcome. So that's why it was a creditable performance.
Absolutely. Moving on now to the other half century from the RCB innings. The man said that he was surprised. The commentators weren't, but he said that he was surprised with the fact that he came in and scored a 50. AB de Villiers took his time initially, but then got going. These guys, I mean, muscle memory or whatever, I mean, they just keep turning the clock back.
Yes, he was lying from his teeth. I mean, AB de Villiers, he has that ability and he knows it. And that's why. And in fact, he spoke about that little bit, that strange tournament that they played in South Africa, where there were three teams competing against each other. But at least it got his competitive juices flowing. So in that sense, he was perhaps a little bit better prepared than the Indian batsman. And yes, I mean, those end overs were always going to be the key. And we are always speaking about how SRH's bowling is probably superior than RCB's. At least yesterday, some of the RCB bowlers came to the party. And that's why it made a difference. That Chahal over, that over by Navdeep Saini towards the end. So in fact, the scoreline would not suggest 10 runs is a fair margin of defeat, but I think SRH were in with a chance till Rashid Khan got into that collusion, and then Saini took advantage, dismissed him, and then dismissed Bhuvi and closed the match out. Also, that terrific over by Chahal to sort of outshine Rashid Khan was a creditable performance from him as well.
Right. Perhaps once again, what we are seeing is that a set batsman really needs to go on and complete the job. Mayank could not do it for KXIP, almost took them home. And yesterday we saw Jonny Bairstow single-handedly almost taking the team to victory, and then suddenly one bad shot against Chahal, and that's what triggered the collapse after that. So a batsman who comes in and perhaps is set needs to go on till the end, whether you're batting first or second, if you want a pass score or if you want to chase down a total.
Yes, and it also tells you a little bit about the wickets that that are being played out in UAE as well. This isn't Bangalore, so in that sense, the bowlers are always in with a chance. So that's why all the more responsibility for the batsman who is in to take it through. And Bairstow knew it, particularly because their middle order was always going to be a little dodgy with inexperience. And I was a little surprised with their choice of batsmen as well in the middle order. There were some other options available. Again, lesser known faces, but the likes of Virat Singh and Abdul Samad would probably have been better choices than going in with the Priyam Garg. But this is probably a selection that is based upon who's going well in the nets, because form is that big factor. We really don't know how they're doing after that lockdown. But it didn't work out last time, and they will have to reassess things. For me, they will have to try and find a way through which they can get Williamson in. And then with Mitch Marsh's injury, probably it makes it a little easier now, because Marsh I don't think is going to be available for a few games, if not the entire IPL.
Right, top three will be set then, and Manish Pandey perhaps then can drop down a little bit and provide that solidity that they need in the middle order. Perhaps can bat 4 or 5 to be able to close down matches, or perhaps come in and start hitting immediately. So middle order definitely a concern for SRH. Let's go to the bowling. Chahal, of course, was brilliant. Picked up 3 wickets. Best bowling performance by an RCB bowler against SRH in IPL history. Let's talk a little bit about Navdeep Saini. I mean, I think the occasion was getting a little better of him initially. He bowled that short ball that was a wide, went for a boundary, but then completely changed his track. Had a conversation with Kohli, came back, got that wicket of Bhuvneshwar, and started doing what he's known for attacking the wickets.
Yes, I mean Saini, he's sort of clocking high 140s as well, which is very encouraging as well. But Umesh does that often, but it's quite baffling how he is still not been able to figure out this format. Year after year, he goes for all these runs. But Saini did that a lot better. And we were speaking about it the other day. If he becomes a more complete T20 bowler, Saini, then that is going to take a lot of load off Virat Kohli, because Steyn has got all that experience, that big match temperament, but I don't know if he's just the perfect choice for T20 cricket. So Saini will have to probably bear more of the workload. They also got an option in someone like a Khalil, who might come in at some stage with his variety with a left arm pace.
Right. All right, then. Virat Kohli's team is off to a winning start, and we'll see whether Steve Smith's team can actually get off to a winning start in the preview of the match, which will be played today. We go into our first segment. We're calling it The Battle, where we'll talk about Rajasthan Royals versus Chennai Super Kings, 14-7 in favor of CSK. Apart from winning that first final, Rajasthan Royals really haven't been a patch on CSK over the years. In IPL, do you see them, making any impact today?
Yes, I mean, they got off to a winning start, so that is one advantage. And RR, this will be their off. Yes. So I think it's still advantage CSK, because Rajasthan Royals, the thing is, it's been an interesting squad that they've put together, where they rely so heavily on their 4 overseas stars: the Joss Butler, Jofra Archer, Steve Smith, and who's the other star that they have? So the 4 Stokes. So and then Stokes and Butler are not playing today.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So how do they cover up for them? That is the more difficult task. They will then obviously have to rely upon all the Indian stars to come together. Jaiswal and Samson will do all right, because they're confident young men. But then there is a little bit of inexperience again in the middle order, which is something that they'll have to take care of. I would probably go in with Robin Uthappa a little down the order, just because he's got the experience and he's got the hitting abilities. And so for a change, if you can probably push him down to number 6, we'll wait and see if they will go for that sort of a move. But if you do that, then obviously you open with Samson and Jaiswal and then bring in Smith at 3. So that's an option. We'll see if they actually go with that. But so that's the thing. Whether they can cover up for the 2 key players who are missing in this match is going to be a very decisive factor. because CSK is a well-oiled unit, and now they've got a win under their belt.
My problem with RR is something else. My problem is that apart from Shreyas Gopal, they don't really have a great spin option. Krishnappa Gautam used to be there with them, but he's not there anymore. So apart from Shreyas Gopal, whom can they turn to when the wickets get slow? And not just for this match, but overall in the tournament, when the wicket gets slower and they need that spinner, that good spin attack to perhaps be able to attack the other teams. How will they approach? Is the question that I have in my mind as far as RR is concerned.
Yeah, that's a fair question. That's a fair question because it almost appears that they pick up their teams. They load them with a lot of Australians and Englishmen because one of the owners is English and the mentor is Australian, and they don't always turn out to be conditions for Indian pitches. And now they're going to UAE. Suddenly, you're expecting slower wickets, and certainly we haven't quite seen the wickets grip as much, but they are expected to as the tournament progresses. So that's certainly a area which they need to address. And Shreyas Gopal will have to probably up his game, and he's obviously the key spinner, the key leg spinner. Is now a little bit fairly experienced, so he will have to do the job.
Right. We'll talk about the personnel then in our next segment, the trump card of the match. Rasesh, you are going in with the man who didn't really fire in the first match, known to be a slow starter. But what is the rationale behind picking up Watson for this match? Ex-RR,
yes,
that's why you expect him to do well?
Also because this is the first match in Sharjah, and we are going by what we are given to understand that Sharjah is a more batting-friendly wicket than Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So the top order will always be in business. And I expect, I don't know, I get a feeling that, Watson will score runs today, despite the fact that age and all that. If Faf and Raidu could, Watson at some stage will. And, when law of averages, I expect him to come together. And if he goes well, obviously that provides just the ideal start that CSK need. I would have been, tempted to pick a Yashasvi Jaiswal and a Samson as well, but we'll talk about them in the other segment because they're young bowlers and you'll probably go in with a more experienced campaigner, bank on him to do well and come together and perform.
Right. One thing common between both our choices for the trump card, both are ex-Royals players. I have picked Ravindra Jadeja because Ravindra Jadeja has his best.
You're a big fan of Jadeja.
Big fan because 16 wickets against RR over the years. Best average, best strike rate that he has against any team, that is RR. So he's really repaid. He's really repaid his old team, the team which actually helped him come into the radar for the Indian team and overall had a controversial transfer from RR as a result of which he missed out on the 2010 season. But he really ups his game against his team. And in the first match also, it was Ravindra Jadeja, after bowling that expensive over, came back, picked up wickets and actually brought CSK back into the match. So I think Jadeja, also with his fielding skills and batting down the order, will be a crucial factor in this match.
Yes, one of the reasons he probably goes under the radar a little bit because he doesn't pick up those 4 or 5 wicket hauls. We occasionally get that, but Jadeja will find more 2-3 wicket hauls and very effective ones. But he does this job, that's the key in T20 cricket, and he loves working under MS Dhoni. He's the man who sort of made him into the India cricketer that he is. That's where he started off his cricket, so he's the most comfortable there. And the other reason why Jadeja doesn't pick up as many wickets, but he does is because he's got a lot of other quality spinners around him. So, that the wickets are spread out that way. But yes, Jadeja is a key factor. Yeah.
I have a point to make on this also. I've come with the Jadeja banner, Sir Jadeja banner today. He's got 2 4-4s and both the 2 4-4s are against Rajasthan Royals.
But those were 4 years back. I was looking at his figures for the past 4 years. He hasn't had a 4 wicket also.
He hasn't had.
I'm not disputing his utility at all.
Sure. All right, then. The batsman to watch out for, as Rasesh was talking about, we'll talk about 2 youngsters in this segment, the batsmen to watch out for. And those 2 youngsters are, one of them, of course, has played in the IPL for a long time. Sanju Samson, more than 2,000 runs, has been an integral part of the Rajasthan Royals team for a while now, played for Delhi Daredevils before this. A lot going on for him as well, Rasesh, with Dhoni retired now out of the picture. You've got KL Rahul, you've got Rishabh Pant, but hello, Sanju Samson is somebody who's been around for a while, and he's somebody whom the Indian team has actually tried, not for long, has got that one odd opportunity here and there, hasn't fired, but he too has some skin in the business here.
Oh, I mean, he's got serious hitting ability, and that's what gets one excited about this format. This is one format where if you can win the opening power play, you've done your job, and Samson can certainly do that. Shane Warne's a big fan of him. And, that's somehow I thought I put a little bit more pressure on him because every year Shane Warne keeps talking of him as this big India cricketer. He's had the odd opportunity and hasn't quite clicked, but he generally does well for RR. So, and the good thing is, I mean, there are two young, exciting prospects, both Jaiswal and Samson. I think you believe you invested in Jaiswal, you picked up Jaiswal, and both of them working together. If they click, then they could be the big talking point of this IPL as well. Two young Indian batsmen doing well together. So, that's something to look forward to. Samson's got a big following in Kerala, so the whole of Kerala will be watching today when they face off. And it's not, in fact, there are a lot of Keralites in UAE as well. Unfortunately, they can't get inside the stadium, but a lot of people will be queued up to the TV screens to see Samson perform.
And I want to pick your brains about Yashasvi Jaiswal. Quite a story, selling pani puris at one point of time, and then coming from that humble background and then becoming this big star. What is the talk about him in the Mumbai circles? How excited are the pundits in the Mumbai circle about this young talent? He's already left his mark in domestic cricket, performed well for India in under-19 World Cup. What is the talk in Mumbai about him?
People are very excited, and in that under-19 World Cup performance, obviously, sort of he was able to, reinforce that he's got abilities. That was against people of his age. Now this is obviously going up a notch. So, it will be interesting how he delivers. A couple of stories, like, this Panipuri story has sort of gone on for long, but he would tell us often, we keep meeting him off and on being in Mumbai, and he says, "Aisa nahi tha ki main sirf Panipuri bechta tha." So he's been sort of labeled as this Panipuri boy, but he's come through the hard way. He said there were days when he would probably wait for those matches as Azad Maidan and be that ball boy. And being that ball boy in those 15, 16 matches that happen in the Maidans would also fetch him some money, and third, he would be able to take care of a few days' earnings. So he's come through the hard way, but obviously a great hitter of the ball. And there's other story as well. Quickly, there was, in the Mumbai Ranji team, there was this belief that he's more of a ODI player because he would be more of a stroke player. He wouldn't take as many risks. And when that word got to him that he was going to be not picked for the Mustaq Ali Trophy, that's when he started working on it, and eventually he got an opportunity and scored that brilliant, almost, was it a double hundred? I can't recall, but it was a knock in which he was a 20-over match in which he smashed all the the bowling apart. So, someone who's got a truckload of runs at that level, now it's a matter of being able to take his game, take that game forward in IPL cricket.
And what an occasion, playing against a team like CSK, especially with MS Dhoni behind him, keeping, and obviously all the best bowlers coming on at him. So quite a test for young Yashasvi Jaiswal, but we hope that just like Devidutt Padikkal, he can also come out with flying colours and perhaps give more hope to Indian cricket in the future. Moving on now to the bowler to watch out for. We have spoken about the CSK players, so that's why we are concentrating more on the Rajasthan Royals players, because obviously they're playing their first match. So let's talk about Jofra Archer. Hasn't really lit up the IPL so far. Expected a lot from him, but he will have to share the burden. Jaydev Unadkat really hasn't fired for Rajasthan Royals. I don't know what is the fixation that they have with Unadkat in this format, but Archer will have to do the heavy lifting as far as bowling is concerned for the Royals.
But Unadkat's got some wickets, before the lockdown. So he had a terrific season for Saurashtra as well, and he's got that, and he's got a variety in T20 cricket. And because the RR has got paucity of resources, so then Unadkat becomes a key bowler for them as well. But I mean, Archer will have to do the heavy lifting. That is no doubt about it. He's such a misleading bowler. He sort of ambles into the crease slightly faster than Mohinder Amarnath perhaps. But when he actually delivers the ball, it comes out so quick.
Faster than Donald perhaps.
In mid 140s, and his bouncer is so misleading, and he actually made his name for himself even before he became eligible for England, playing in Big Bash and all those T20 leagues. So he's got that T20 ability, variety of slower balls and all of that. So key bowler for RR, and an exciting battle when he faces up against the likes of a Watson and a Dhoni perhaps.
Indeed. We'll wait to see how that match goes. Big clash of the match, and it will be between Ravindra Jadeja and Steve Smith. Ravindra Jadeja is my man for the day. I am putting all my money on him. 5 times he's dismissed Steve Smith in the IPL, and when Steve Smith faces Jadeja, his strike rate, which is generally around the 120s, comes down to under 90. Now that's serious sign of somebody who's not been able to figure out this bowler.
Yeah, very interesting. And in fact, I think it's more than 5 if you look at, if you add the international record as
international
well. So it's strange how much of an issue Smith has had against Jadeja. In fact, he said what I recall, he's just one of those bowlers who who has that art of keep pitching the ball in the same spot all the time, almost like a bowling machine. And that's Jadeja's trick. So he's not someone who sort of spins the ball both ways, etc. He's got the straighter one and then the one that traditionally spins. But he varies his pace, and he's sort of so good with this format that he's got this whole art of strangulating a batsman and then sort of working out his way to wickets. And that's certainly Smith is someone who's had problems and issues with him. And so with that sort of track record, it always becomes an exciting battle to look forward to, because the batsman has got that thing working in his mind, perhaps. No matter how good you are, if a bowler's got you out multiple times, then you know that you've got to be extra careful.
I remember writing an article once. What is the similarity between Jadeja, Smith, and William Shakespeare? We'll go into it some other day. So both people wanted to be something else, but ended up being something else. Like Smith wanted to be a leg spinner, became a great batsman. Jadeja wanted to be a great all-rounder, perhaps is known as one of the best spinners today that India has. And of course, Shakespeare wanted to be an actor, became one of the best playwrights of all time. So anyway,
we'll go into that later. Hope to be a great all-rounder. Who knows? Sanjay Manjrekar knows.
Sanjay Manjrekar knows, and Jadeja knows how to answer him back. But anyway, we'll find out what happens in the match today. Thank you very much to everybody who joined in here. We'll be back again tomorrow to look forward to the match which comes up next. And of course, we'll talk about the CSK and RR match. We'll review that match. Rasesh, thank you very much as usual for joining us. And to everyone, please follow us on hindustantimes.com/IPL. Read the newspaper. I hope you've created your sign-in on the e-paper by now. So for all the information on IPL, Hindustan Times is the place where you'll get all the information. Thank you very much.